Well, if you pay attention to certain news, certain outlets, certain people online, there's a new Star Wars trilogy. Or is there? Well, when I saw the real news, the real scooper, Kamran Pasha, in regards to what is going on with this new trilogy at Star Wars, what is happening, that's the real source, and we're so lucky to bring him in and to read his story and to read his updates, as he's always done, and as you guys have always just have reacted strongly in favor of Cameron and all the video coverage that we do. Let's get right to it because Cameron, there's a new Star Wars trilogy.
No, there's not. I mean, no. And so,
End of video.
I mean, it's like when there was this report. I think it was on like on Thursday, right? We see two reports come out at the same time, and they weren't official press releases. They were each of them claiming to be exclusive. So obviously somebody called both of them. This was in Deadline and the Hollywood Reporter, each claiming to get the exclusive scoop that Simon Kinberg, right? It has been given a new Star Wars trilogy, right? And the moment I saw that, I said, that doesn't sound right. I mean, that doesn't sound right at all. I mean, based on everything that I've reported and just where we are on their journey, and that didn't feel real to me. And so I then reached out to my source, Sparrow, inside the company, and they got back to me. They're like, nobody knows anything about it. Literally, like, they said Lucasfilm executives don't know anything about it. Disney executives don't know anything about it. This is Kathleen Kennedy running off and for reasons we could talk about, trying to stir the pot, which she's very effective at because the fans always fall for it. They fall for it every single time. It's like a cartoon, right? You press this button, you get the response, right? And so the fans are like, oh, look at her, she's back, she's in charge, she's putting a new trilogy, and I don't like Simon Kinberg, and blah blah blah. He's ruining Star Trek, and so now they're all agitated. So I said, okay, I don't know. So I put out a report on my Patreon saying, based on my sources, this is not real. In fact, I said specifically, nobody in Lucasfilm knows anything about it. And as my source told me, when these trades called Lucasfilm to get a confirmation, people are like, what?
What are you talking about?
They didn't know anything, and they couldn't even give a no comment. They didn't know anything, right? And so, what are you talking about? And so, of course, that sounds like, okay, now wacky thing. Cameron's been proven wrong yet again. Not even 24 hours later, 12 hours later, the next morning, Variety puts out a report, because Variety was kind of resentful, I'm sure, that he wasn't one of the picked ones for this fake leak, right? Someone, and we're going to talk about who that someone likely was, someone talks to Variety and pretty much says all of these things, which is, number one, it's a shocking thing. I don't think I've ever seen this in a trade. Variety says, quote, Lucasfilm and Disney executives didn't know about it. It said
so this is a scoop confirmed. Less than 24 hours after I reported that Lucasfilm executives knew nothing about any Simon Kinberg Star Wars trilogy, Variety has confirmed my scoop, saying execs were surprised by the announcement.
It's in the trade article. It said Lucasfilm and Disney executives. I mean, they called around multiple people at the studio and the parent company. People are like, we don't know what this is. And then if you read the entire piece there, it's a takedown. It's takedown using Hollywoodese, which is all passive aggressive, right? But the entire Variety article is all about saying that, essentially, it actually says this is, and you'll see, it says this announcement appears not ready for the public. That's in the Variety article, meaning that this wasn't supposed to be announced. It's detailed and not nearly ready to be made public. You see, go right above what we've highlighted. Right above, the project is considered internally to be in deep development. Deep development is like the deep state, hidden away. Not nearly ready to be made public. I've never seen that language in the trades. Not nearly ready to be made public. That is a passive aggressive jab saying this announcement was not authorized. That's what it means.
Let me read this, right? The project is considered internally to be in deep development and nearly ready to be made public.
No, and not nearly. And not nearly,
excuse me. And not nearly ready to be made public. I've never heard of anything like that.
I've never seen that language.
I don't know what deep development means.
It means that nobody knows about it.
To me, it means bullshit.
Yes. I mean, this is
Wow.
look. This is
Good
a
variety.
hit piece, and who would do this hit piece? I said in my post on Thursday evening, I said Jon Favreau. From what my source told me, Jon Favreau's outraged. They actually did, he ordered an internal investigation. I'm sure some of the computer guys and others were looking into who did anyone send an email, whatever. He
Right.
ordered an internal investigation. They're like not even the remaining remnant of loyal Kathleen Kennedy guys inside the story group sent out any messages or called as far as they can find out. This wasn't coming from anybody inside the company. This came from Kathleen Kennedy, who was not in the office. That's why nobody knows anything about it. And I said that Favreau is going to get revenge for this. He's really angry because this was a sideswipe that nobody saw coming. And he does. The next morning, he has Variety put out a hit piece saying this isn't going to happen, right? And only a stupid person can't see that language to see what it's saying.
So here, the fact that Variety is saying all this means that Jon Favreau is pushing back and not letting Kennedy hijack the narrative, exactly as I predicted he would. The Favreau-Kennedy war just entered a whole new level of intensity. There will be more to come. All right. So you hypothesized it had something to do with the timing of some little election that just happened.
I mean, I put out it's speculation. It's pure speculation.
Speculation.
Because I mean, I will go ahead.
Let me throw this speculation. I'm not saying that that's not, why would this come out? Because that was your questioning. You always ask great questions. You always bring up great thoughts. Why now? What's the timing? Why this? I will say another speculative thought is that Skeleton Crew and the trailer recently came out. I think last week.
Yes,
I loved it. I saw the trailer.
Very well received.
So we have your source and you who has said this all along that this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And then I have another source who confirmed that. I have another source that confirmed that, and I said that in my video that this is going to be highly successful. Like this is going to be light years above the other Star Wars television shows. And this is a Favreau. This is a Favreau production.
This is a Favreau production. It's a champ. It's something he's championing. He's trying to bring.
Right.
He's trying to bring the heart back into it. He's trying to bring kids back to it.
The whimsy, the magic.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to bring us back to childhood, which is what he wants to do. So yes. So I speculated two things. One, I speculated this is, and I think it's likely. Again, the speculation all comes from timing. So I always ask who benefits, cui bono, and timing. Why is now? So why now, right? So who benefits? The only one benefits from the announcement of Kathleen Kennedy because it agitates the fans who she hates and makes everyone believe she still has power, right? Number one, okay. So that's who benefits. The only one benefits is her. Nobody else benefits. Even Simon Kinberg doesn't benefit because he's had these articles saying that he's not really that successful. Why is he getting this thing, right? So now here's my update. So the speculation is one, which I think is very clear. She did this to sabotage the energy that's building for
good vibes, right?
For Skeleton Crew. It's exactly what she did when she announced the fake Rey movie during the Star Wars gathering, right? When they were talking about all the incredible things about to do, she suddenly drags Daisy Ridley on stage. It's not on the schedule, and announces the thing to take all the thunder away from Jon Favreau's. We're going to do all these amazing things, right? And she's doing it again. But why? But why didn't she do that a month ago? That's my question. She could have done these. Skeleton Crew has been developing for months now, right? At least public consciousness of it. Why didn't she do it 2 weeks ago? Why did she do it on Thursday of this week? Well, what happened on Tuesday night of this week? U.S. presidential election, right?
Right.
So this is my speculation. If you want to read it, go ahead and now analyze it.
Yeah. So you're saying that in regards to your speculation right now, Hollywood is reeling from the landslide victory of Trump, and everyone is talking about how this was supposed to be bad for women and set back women's rights to the Stone Ages. And who is the self-proclaimed most powerful woman in Hollywood? Kathleen Kennedy. Suddenly, it makes all sense. Kathleen Kennedy likely made this announcement as a signal to all of Hollywood that she is the girl boss who is going to lead women in the battle against toxic male Trump for the next 4 years. She's trying to make herself irreplaceable. Okay, you can't remove the most powerful woman in Hollywood from her job because then Trump wins. My God, this is all pure diabolical genius. And the terrifying thought is it might actually work.
It might, but actually, I've thought about it a lot since then. I don't think it will work. But that was certainly her plan.
I don't think it will work either, but I have my thoughts. So, but I want to hear why since you wrote this, why you don't think it'll work.
Well, so, in the last several days of watching my colleagues in Hollywood, so like Tuesday night, there was obviously eruption of what's happening. This can't be right. I actually got into. I tried to avoid election talks but eventually after Trump's victory was announced, I did I told you so dance on some of the writers' boards I went on where everyone had been in echo chamber all day. Look at all these women are coming out. This is going to be a massive landslide for Harris. I was like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I know what's coming. Right. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Right. And so when what I expected happened, they were all like, they were in a twilight zone. They couldn't understand. And I went in and I said, didn't you guys see this coming? Did you guys see this? Why didn't you guys are so disconnected from our audience that you didn't see this coming? And then people attacked me and got angry. I think I lost a couple of friends, because they didn't want to hear it. But what's interesting though is within the next couple of days after the initial outrage, right? Mm-hmm. There is a sunken sense of acceptance in the industry that I did not feel in 2016. In 2016, it was like the world is going to end. This is the rise of the Nazis. This is going to be World War III. We're going to have nuclear fallout in the skies within 6 months. That was people believe in Hollywood. I walked into my office. I was working on the show Rain. People were crying with tears, shaking and crying, right? I didn't see that this time. I saw anger that night and disbelief that night. And the next day, people were like, okay, all right, we're just going to have to regroup for the next election, right? This is a very different reaction. Mm-hmm. And there's also, even though it's hard for them to say it out loud, there is a sullen acceptance that maybe there is a cultural shift in this country on certain values and that.
Well, let's just talk about Hollywood, right? Yeah. Within the Hollywood bubble, there's an acceptance that a lot more than you thought actually voted for Trump.
Correct. There's an acknowledgement now that all these minorities
Trump
groups
vote. Yeah. The silent Trump vote, and that is a reckoning that they are processing some publicly, which I really don't care to watch.
Sadly, the lower level ones, sort of the loudmouth people on social media are sadly going to, screw blacks, Latinos, and Muslims for voting for him, right? And their racism and bigotry is coming out about those groups.
Yeah,
but that's not. But the thing is this: you're not hearing this from the top levels. In fact, one of the many indications I had that this was going to be a massive victory for Mr. Trump and that Hollywood was getting ready for it was the fact that suddenly the major media moguls refused to endorse Ms. Harris. The ones that
weeks before.
LA Times wouldn't do it. And then the Washington Post wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I said, this is the oligarchs had made their choice. And
they're running businesses.
Everyone to go online with this now.
They're running businesses, right? Yeah. So, but let's go back to Kathleen Kennedy because
but that's what I want to link to Kathleen Kennedy. So Kathleen Kennedy is in, because I've been stating for some time, despite the fact people refuse to believe it, and despite the fact that she keeps trying these stunts, she's become powerless. She doesn't even go to the Lucasfilm office anymore. So she is like these powerless people in Hollywood living in this bubble of denial. So I believe she did this announcement thinking it would give her the power to take that throne of I'm the woman that's going to stand up to Trump. Don't push me out of this company, right? Don't force me to retire, blah, blah, blah. But because she's in a bubble, she doesn't understand. Iger's already gave up. All these guys already gave up. They're like, Trump's in charge. We're going to make this work. And we understand where the audience is. We're going to make this work. She's in her bubble. She don't see that. So it's not going to work for her.
Okay. So that's not a bad, that's pretty good. That's pretty realistic. So I don't think it's a reach. Here's a different angle. And I think they can both complement each other. She's a failure. She's been a failure for the last couple of years with all her projects.
Yes.
She's trying to be relevant. There are now recent horrible failures with Acolyte that no one's watching, no one's gonna watch. It's globally hasn't caught on anywhere. It's the biggest disaster. So you have that's a stain on her.
Yes. So she owned it. This was her thing.
It's her thing. But now what you have these incredible success stories of female-driven shows that are kicking ass and getting huge ratings. The Penguin.
Yeah, because everyone loves a female character in The Penguin. They're like, this woman's incredible. So yeah.
Well, right, but I told you before, I personally
Mhm.
know one of the consulting
Mhm.
producers,
Yeah.
and the Chicana
Mhm.
Laura LaFranc is the showrunner, writer,
Mhm.
etc.,
Yeah.
etc. They're all women running that show. There's some very multi-dimensional characters that that are female in the show. This
Sure.
is a great example of a just incredible successful story with your message in there, right? So she's not dumb. KK's not dumb, meaning that she's seen all these other successes. Like, oh man, that's what I want to be. I want to be that relevant. She's getting left in the dust, is what I'm saying, Cameron.
Yeah, but she doesn't
Big
have a
time.
plan for that. What's
You
her
know.
plan? Did she go to? Remember, she tried doing the Leslie Headland
Well, that's
LGBT
what I'm saying is that she
woman
probably
thing.
thought that
Now,
Leslie
so
could
she
bring
goes to
that.
Simon Kinberg, this white
Right.
dude.
Right.
She
What
goes to
I'm
a white
saying is
man.
that I think she would have loved that Headland to be that type of Penguin success.
Correct.
Because Penguin, again, pretty pro female driven, which I have no problem with. Is wonderful. I'm just saying that also too, it's not bogged down with any heavy ideology at all. I mean, this is
Because
an
you don't need
organ.
it. Because character speaks. Character
Yeah.
is what people care about. You can, all ideology is ultimately a discussion of power. That's all any ideology is of any
Hmm.
kind. And it's about power. And
So
guess what? You can discuss power through good characters.
absolutely, man, absolutely, and is one of the greatest villains now created. So
Mhm.
my other angle, which I think can add on to yours, is that she's just creatively left in the dust. She's not
Well,
relevant,
she
man.
never had any steam. It's not like she's out of steam. She never had any steam, right? She had
Mm.
other people pumping steam in from George Lucas and
She got lucky. She got lucky.
Spielberg and her husband. Other people were pumping in steam into her engine. Now
Yeah.
she never had any steam, and now we
Yeah.
see it.
Well, wow. What do you guys think? Let us know. Comment away. You have the great Kamran Pasha with his Patreon, which I'm a member of.
Yeah,
You're doing
come join that Patreon. That look, there's people out there still screaming, "I'm a fraud." Whatever. All I can do is just go into Patreon. Scoop confirmed. Scoop confirmed. Scoop confirmed. This time, Scoop confirmed in 12 hours. I mean, and I've had that a couple of times. So I mean, it speaks for itself. So believe whatever you want. Just read it, and you say, "Oh, Friday just confirmed what he said." Maybe
and
he might know people inside Lucasfilm. Maybe.
and if this is your first video, first time watching us in this video, we have a playlist of Kamran Pasha scoops, and we are really diehard Star Wars fans that actually wanted to succeed. But Kamran, I
Yes.
thank you for your time, my friend.
Thank you as always. And wonderful channel. I'm a big fan of Latino Slant because, as I've said, this channel isn't just a YouTube channel. This is becoming a brand. It's going to become a media brand that people like George Gascon, politicians are coming onto this channel.
Yeah,
Hoping that they're going to sway the audience, right? And that particularly didn't work, but they were hoping to sway the audience, right? And that's what the Latino Slant is. This is the future, and people have no idea. You're coming in on the ground level of something that's going to become a huge player over the next decade in this industry.
So make sure you are subscribed to our channels and go check out Cameron's Patreon. Wherever you're at, keep that slant fuerte. Gracias.